Wish TV is focused on family and the community and is committed to sharing the stories of those who are making a difference every day. From the All Indiana Podcast Network and Wish TV, this is Behind the Eight Podcast with Wish TV's George Mallet.
And this is George Mallet. Welcome to Behind the Eight. Today, a conversation with Wish TV8's outstanding bilingual reporter, Camila Fernandez. Camila, a native of Colombia, was raised in Miami. She comes by her reporter instincts naturally, as her grandfather and mentor, Abel Gonzalez Chavez, was an award-winning journalist in Colombia. In a moment, Camila Fernandez.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? A lot, especially when it comes to protecting what matters. At Pacific Life, we've helped people and businesses confidently embrace the future with life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits. With strategies built on strength and trust, and a promise to be here for you today and tomorrow. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
And I'm joined now by Camila Fernandez. She is the bilingual reporter here at Wish TV8. Camila, let's start with defining terms. What is your role under that title, bilingual reporter?
Wow, that's a really good question, actually. I've been a bilingual reporter since I started my career, quite honestly, in print and now in broadcasting. And, you know, as a bilingual reporter, I feel like I have this sense of responsibility, and I enjoy it very much, to be a voice for a lot of people in the Hispanic community. And it's really what fulfills me and what motivates me to continue in this crazy industry.
So, we were talking about this a moment ago before we started recording. You're cast in the role as sort of an advocacy journalist for the Latin community. What are you finding here in Indianapolis in your coverage? Are we talking about an underserved community? Are we talking about a community that has been disproportionately affected, for instance, by the pandemic?
Absolutely. I have noticed that, well, it just, you know, the issues range and are so different from state to state. I mean, I grew up in Miami. You know, the issues there may be different than Maryland, where I was previously, and now here in Indiana. Here, for example, in Indiana, I noticed that one of the biggest issues that have been brought forward to legislators has been, you know, a lack of opportunities for people to, especially undocumented people, of course, to be able to drive at peace out on the roads because they are not able to have a driver's license. And so I know there are a lot of people are advocating for that, and it's very critical. And that's just one of the many issues that I have noticed here in Indiana when it comes to challenges that many Latino or Hispanic people face in Indiana. And so, you know, I've done several stories on the undocumented community, and also just the amazing things that they're doing in the community. I mean, we have doctors, we have state leaders or representatives, and many other Hispanic and Latino people in the community who are making a huge impact. We've got people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway who are doing big things there in both languages, in Spanish and English. And so it's really about highlighting these achievements, these contributions, and hey, it's Hispanic Heritage Month even, so this is really great opportunity to talk with you about that. So
I'm curious, during the interview process, Did you come in with the understanding you would be a general assignment reporter, or did the news director say right away, you're bilingual, I've got something in mind for you, for a beat for you?
So I kind of want to go back to my start in the TV industry. So I worked for some time as a correspondent for a Colombian radio station program, but kind of diving into television, that's when I really became a bilingual reporter, more or less. And so when I was on Delmarva in Salisbury, Maryland, my news director there, she said, we have this Spanish, all Spanish segment called Latino Flavor. Can you do reporting in Spanish? And so that's when it all started. So I would dedicate a couple days to just doing Spanish content, and then the other days English, content in English. And so, it was never like, you're a bilingual reporter, here you go. It just sort of became a natural thing for me. And it's such a blessing for me to be able to do that, because I'm passionate truly about my community. So, I never imagined that starting my career I would be doing this. But once upon a time, a long time ago, this bilingual, she's kind of bilingual, but she told me that, you should focus on the Hispanic community, because outside of Miami, things are a little different.
Yeah, and it fascinates me though, because I feel like, and I'm not in the news department, I'm outside looking in, but it seems like you are freed up to pursue that beat. I don't see you getting thrown into the mix quite as often as perhaps some of the other reporters covering general you get to focus very largely on the Latin community.
Yes, and I am so grateful for Wish TV to allow me to do that. And I got to give a shout out to my news director, Al Carl, because he, from right the beginning, he said, you could do this, or like a Spanish podcast, or, we really want to support the Hispanic community, and just, just like we want to be able to, share stories from all communities.
Right.
But being that I come from the Hispanic community and I'm able to not just be bilingual, but bicultural, that's a huge plus.
And we probably, I'm remiss in that I haven't talked about your background. You were born in Colombia, raised in Miami.
Yes.
So you have obviously been a part of the culture your entire life, and you are fluent in both English and Spanish.
Yes.
And you studied French as well.
Yes, I did. I even lived in France for a few months, and that was great. Of course, French isn't quite as, it's not like there's the Spanish community, or the Hispanic community, is just a bit larger of a community, I suppose. Of course, there are French people, I'm sure, here, and a lot of folks who are from Haiti, and, they speak French too. So sometimes even with the Haitian community, I'm even able to talk with them, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's funny because when I was in college, I made a choice, despite the fact that I've got a French last name, to take Spanish, just because I figured it would be a more functional, practical thing to study.
Yeah.
Because I knew people who spoke Spanish, so it made sense.
Absolutely.
So when you're out on the beat now, what would you say are the biggest challenges facing the Hispanic community here in Indianapolis?
Oh gosh, I don't want to be too political on this, but gosh, it's just one of the things that I mentioned before was just the struggles that a lot of the undocumented folks in the community have to go through. And yes, we have undocumented folks in the community in Indianapolis. Emphasis, that a lot of people tend to believe that we all kind of go through the same situation, but we don't. Every immigrant has a different story, so it's important to make that to put a point on that. And so I think that's just one of the bigger things, and then also the language barriers. That always is something that comes up during my interviews on any story, are language barriers. And Indianapolis, gosh, is an amazing city, because since I've arrived, which was almost 2 years now, so many initiatives have come out. I mean, I am truly grateful for a lot of our city officials actually, because they've created like a hotline that's in Spanish for Spanish speakers. And today, actually, I was at Ascension St. Vincent, and they created this, or they've adapted or are starting to use this new acronym that will help Spanish-speaking patients who are having a stroke and need help, or need help to identify if they're having a stroke, you know? And I mean, it's just constantly something's being done to positively impact the Hispanic community. So thankfully, I would say most of the time it's positive news.
Well, and you sound optimistic. Is that a fair way to characterize you?
Yes, I am. I try.
But the circumstances are leading you to be optimistic.
Oh yeah. And we still got long ways to go, but I'm confident that we will see a lot more good things. And like I mentioned to you in Miami, it was just so different because a lot of people are Latino. And then the minute you leave Miami, just the circumstances change, and you notice things that are just different, that this country is still working on. But it's a whole thing.
Speaking of good things coming, I'll put you on the spot and ask you, are there any projects or any particular areas of subject matter that you're pursuing right now that you're passionate about?
Well, I have always had a particular passion for education. And so when I was in Maryland, in Salisbury, Maryland, I did a story, or a series actually, on English language learners. And I actually did one just recently here as well, obviously in central Indiana. And so in Delaware, which I know is where you are from, I did a lot of coverage on English language learners there, because for some time, these students and the teachers did not get enough resources to really help them with their education in general. And so after I did a whole bunch of different stories, we saw that the governor at the time, Governor Carney, he finally had this huge initiative, and a lot more things happened. A lot of good things happened, and so that was wonderful. I really enjoyed my time in Delaware, as I've told you recently.
And just for my audience, that's something that Camila and I have in common. Is I grew up in Delaware, and you covered the Delmarva Peninsula for a period of time. Well, she is Camila Fernandez. She is our bilingual reporter here at Wish TV 8. She's an outstanding journalist, and you should check out her reports.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My thanks to Camila Fernandez for taking time between stories to talk to me on Behind the Eight. This is George Mallet. Be sure to follow and listen to this podcast and all of our podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Behind the Eight Podcast with Wish TV's George Mallet. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at wishtv.com.